I paid $30,000 for my daughter's wedding, but she told me her mom's new husband would walk her down the aisle instead of me, and I wasn't even invited. So I canceled everything and watched her break down on security cameras. I canceled everything, then watched her melt down on security cameras. I'll try to tell this without losing it again, but honestly, I'm still so angry I can barely type straight. My daughter, CIA, 24, got engaged to Derek last year. I was thrilled for her. She seemed genuinely happy, and I thought, finally, something good is happening after all the chaos from the divorce. For context, I divorced CIA's mom, Abigail, about 8 years ago. It was incredibly messy. Abigail was having an affair with Jones, who she later married. CIA was furious with me for a long time. Abigail convinced her I ruined our family, calling me controlling and spreading other falsehoods. But kids believe what they want. I figured she'd come around, and she did, somewhat. We started talking again when she turned 21. She'd call, and we'd have dinner maybe once a month. Things felt like they were getting better, like we were rebuilding our relationship. I was so happy because CIA is my only child, and I love her more than anything, despite the hell she's put me through. When she got engaged, I offered to pay for the wedding. What fathers do, right? She was ecstatic, thanking me, hugging me, saying how grateful she was, and how she knew I'd always be there. It made me feel like we were finally good again. We started planning, and CIA had big dreams. I said yes to everything. I wanted her to have the perfect day, my chance to show her how much I loved her and how sorry I was for our silent years. Maybe this would fix things for good. The venue alone was $8,000, catering $12,000 for 200 people, flowers $3,500, the dress $2,800, and the photographer $2,200. Totaled up, it was around $30,000. I didn't hesitate. CIA was so happy, constantly, sending me pictures and texts about how excited she was, calling it the best day ever. I paid up front for deposits and final payments. CIA said it'd be easier if I handled the money, and she'd focus on planning. I agreed. I just wanted her to enjoy it, stress-free. Things were great for months. CIA and I talked more than in years. She included me in decisions, asked my opinion. I felt we were truly connecting. I was so proud of the woman she'd become, so excited to walk her down the aisle, dance with her at the reception, that perfect father-daughter moment I'd dreamt of for years. But then, about 6 weeks before the wedding, it grew weird and distant. Calls were short, wedding talk dismissed. A bad feeling settled in my stomach, but I told myself I was paranoid, just a stressed bride. For weeks out, CIA canceled our final planning meeting with the planner, saying she'd handle it. When I asked if she was okay, she just said she was busy and we'd talk later. But we never did. Every attempt to reach her resulted in colder, shorter texts. I should have known, but I convinced myself she was overwhelmed, that after the wedding, things would normalize and we'd be closer than ever. I tend to overthink, especially with CIA, always fearing I'll lose her again. 2 weeks before the wedding, I drove to her apartment, worried after 3 days of no returned calls. Derek answered, looking uncomfortable and nervous. He said CIA wasn't well and couldn't see anyone. I knew he was lying, but left to avoid a scene. I tried calling CIA again. No answer. The next day, CIA finally called back. Her voice was cold, formal. When I asked if she was okay, she said she needed to tell me something. My heart sank. It was going to be bad. She said she and Derek decided on a more intimate wedding, just close family and friends. I said, okay, we can adjust the guest list. She replied, no, I don't think you understand. She explained that since her mom and Jones had been more involved in her life lately, and Jones had been like a father for the past 8 years, they thought it would be better if Jones walked her down the aisle instead of me. I just sat there, phone in hand, unable to speak. It felt like a gut punch, taking my breath away. I finally managed to ask what she meant. She said she appreciated my financial help, but they wanted their wedding day to be about family who had truly supported them. Jones, she said, had been more of a father than I ever was, and it would be more meaningful if he gave her away. I snapped. I yelled, asking how she could do this after everything. I paid for this entire wedding. I'm her actual father. She couldn't just replace me with the man who broke up our family. She yelled back that money doesn't make a father, that I abandoned her when she needed me, and Jones was there. We screamed back and forth. She kept bringing up me missing her graduation, birthdays. I tried to explain Abigail prevented me, blocked my involvement. But CIA called them excuses, saying if I truly wanted to be there, I would have found a way. The fight lasted an hour. CIA got more vicious, saying I only cared about myself, trying to buy her love, and she was tired of pretending we had a relationship just because I wrote checks. That hurt deeply. I thought we were rebuilding something real. Finally, CIA declared I was just a checkbook. She'd made up her mind. Jones was walking her down the aisle, and if I didn't like it, I didn't have to come. I said fine, maybe I wouldn't. She said good. She didn't want me there anyway, and hung up. I stared at my phone, shaking, unable to believe it. I didn't hear from CIA for a week, hoping she'd call to apologize or work something out, but she didn't. Then Derek called. CIA wanted him to tell me I wasn't invited at all. Jones would walk her down the aisle, do the father-daughter dance, take all father roles. I asked if he was serious. He said yes. CIA wanted no drama. I asked if CIA knew I'd paid for everything. He got quiet, then said CIA considered it my wedding gift, appreciated my contribution, but didn't want me there. I hung up, too angry to speak. I spent the rest of the day pacing, trying to process what happened. That night, I couldn't sleep. I replayed everything, wondering where I went wrong, why CIA hated me. I thought of all the money spent, my excitement for her day, how she'd discarded me. My anger grew until I was fuming at 3 a.m. The next morning, I called my lawyer, wanting to know if I could get my money back. He said probably not, as it was a gift with no conditions. But he suggested contacting vendors, explaining the situation, seeing if any would refund, since the wedding was 2 weeks away. I called all the vendors. Most couldn't refund, having already ordered supplies and booked staff. A few said they might. Then an idea sparked. Maybe I didn't have to just take this from CIA. Maybe I could do something. I spent days seething. CIA calling me just a checkbook, Jones being more of a father, her taking my $30,000 then disinviting me. I decided she wouldn't get away with it. I called the vendors back. This time, instead of refunds, I told them to cancel everything. Most freaked out. The wedding was only 10 days away. But I explained I paid, had receipts, and wanted immediate cancellations. The venue was the toughest. They'd already prepped. I threatened to sue, to leave bad reviews. They finally agreed to cancel, but kept half my deposit. Fine, whatever, just cancel it, I said. The caterer was surprisingly understanding, able to cancel without penalty since food hadn't been ordered. Florist and photographer also canceled but kept deposits. By week's end, everything was canceled. I was out about $8,000 in deposits, but I didn't care. I was so angry. I just wanted CIA to suffer. I didn't tell CIA. I wanted her to find out on her wedding day. I know it sounds cruel, but I was so hurt and angry. I wanted her to feel a fraction of what she'd put me through. I wanted her to realize actions have consequences. You can't treat people poorly and expect them to keep funding you. The week before was torture. Should I call CIA, tell her, fix things, or was this a huge mistake? But every time, I remembered her words about Jones, about me being a checkbook. The anger flared, and I stayed silent. 3 days before, CIA's friend Jessica called. CIA was stressed, crying, asking about me. Jessica wondered if I was okay, if I was coming to the wedding. I told her CIA and made it clear I wasn't welcome. Jessica seemed confused, said CIA had been asking about me. I told Jessica about Jones walking her down the aisle and my disinvitation. Jessica was silent, then said she knew nothing about it. CIA had been telling people I was difficult with planning. That's why we weren't talking, but never said I wasn't invited. Jessica asked if there was a misunderstanding. For a minute, I wondered if Derek lied or if there was miscommunication. But then I remembered the fight, her cruel words. No misunderstanding. CIA made her choice. Now she'd live with it. The day before, I was a wreck. I kept checking my phone, thinking about telling the venue to reset up. But I didn't have the money, and I was still too angry. CIA deserved this. That evening, the venue owner called, confused. Wedding party members were asking about setup, but I'd canceled everything. I confirmed the cancellation and told him to contact CIA directly. About an hour later, my phone rang. It was CIA, crying and screaming, asking what I'd done. I calmly told her that since I wasn't invited, I saw no reason to pay. She sobbed, saying there was a misunderstanding, that of course I was invited, she needed me there. I asked about Jones walking her down the aisle. She said it was just an idea, no final decision. That's not what Derek told me. I countered, remembering his call about Jones taking over all father roles. CIA claimed Derek misunderstood, that she never said I couldn't come. We argued for another hour. CIA cried, begged me to fix everything, said she was sorry, she loved me, needed her dad. I wanted to believe her so badly, but I knew she was just panicking, trying to manipulate me. I told her it was too late, and maybe this would teach her not to treat people badly. She screamed, calling me selfish and cruel, saying I ruined the most important day of her life. I said she ruined it herself when she decided I wasn't good enough. I hung up. CIA called me 20 times that night. I didn't answer. She left voicemails, crying, begging me to fix things, promising anything. But I was so hurt and angry, I deleted them all without listening. The next morning, wedding day, I woke sick to my stomach, wondering if I'd made a terrible mistake. But then I remembered CIA's words, just a checkbook, Jones being more of a father. Anger flared again. I'd done the right thing. Around noon, curiosity got me. I called the venue owner, asked for security camera footage. Weird request, he agreed, but since I was the original client, he set up a live feed. I don't know why I wanted to see it, but I needed to know. He mentioned CIA had paid the remaining balance to keep the venue open. So, I sat in my living room, watching an empty venue as 200 people arrived expecting a wedding. It was surreal, horrible, and satisfying. Like a movie, but real, and I caused it all. Guests started arriving around 1 p.m. They milled around, confused. No decorations, no staff, no wedding signs. People checked phones, talked worriedly. I felt a strange mix of satisfaction and guilt watching. CIA showed up around 1:30 in her wedding dress, frantically talking to Derek and bridesmaids, pointing, gesturing wildly. She was trying to figure out what to do. Part of me felt bad. She looked panicked. But mostly, I felt vindicated. This is what happens when you treat your father poorly. I watched CIA run around, calling vendors, hoping they could somehow still provide services. Of course not. Everything canceled, other commitments. You can't restart a $30,000 wedding last minute. More guests arrived, dressed for a party, finding chaos and CIA having a breakdown. People tried to comfort her, others looked awkward. Some started leaving after an hour. The worst part, CIA's dress getting muddy. She kept running outside, the ground wet from last night's rain. By 3 p.m., her beautiful white dress was covered in mud. She looked utterly defeated. Abigail and Jones showed up around 2 p.m., talking to CIA, trying to calm her. But nothing could make a wedding appear out of thin air. I wondered if CIA was telling them what I'd done, if they knew I was responsible. By 4 p.m., most guests were gone. Just CIA, Derek, wedding party, and some family in the empty venue. CIA, still in her muddy dress, crying. Derek tried to hold her, but she pushed him away, throwing her hands up in a complete meltdown. I watched another hour, then everyone left. The venue was empty, just staff cleaning. CIA was gone. I assumed. She'd gone home or to a hotel. I turned off the camera, sat in my quiet house, wondering what I'd done. That night, CIA texted, "I will never forgive you for this." I wrote back, "Good. Now you know how it feels." That was our last communication. It's been 3 weeks. I haven't heard from her, and I don't expect to. People ask if I regret it. Honestly, I don't know. Part of me is glad I stood up for myself, didn't let CIA walk all over me. But another part knows I probably destroyed any chance of a relationship with my daughter. Was revenge worth losing her forever? My sister thinks I'm a jerk, says I should have been the bigger person, gone to the wedding even if I wasn't walking her down the aisle. At least I'd have been there. We could have worked it out later. I think that's nonsense. CIA made it clear she didn't want me there. She was using me for money. My brother says CIA got what she deserved. You can't treat people poorly and expect them to keep giving you money. Maybe this will teach her respect. But I don't think CIA learned any lesson, except that I'm a cruel bastard who ruined her wedding. Some friends think I went too far, canceling a wedding the day before is just cruel, no matter what. They say I should have handled it differently. But honestly, what other options did I have? Talking didn't work. She decided I wasn't good enough. I keep wrestling with it. Sometimes I feel completely justified, other times like a monster who destroyed his daughter's day out of spite. I don't know which feeling is right, or if both can be true. I don't know if I'm the problem, or CIA is, or if we both are. But I know our relationship is probably over forever. I'm not sure I care anymore. I'm tired of being hurt by her, tired of trying to earn her love and respect when she clearly thinks I deserve neither. So, Reddit, am I the jerk for canceling my daughter's wedding after she disinvited me and replaced me with her stepfather? Or did she get what she deserved for treating me so badly? Update when I didn't expect this post to blow up. I've read all your comments, and I'm surprised by how divided everyone is. I thought I'd be called a total jerk, but many think CIA deserved it, which actually makes me feel a little better. Some asked for more details on our history. I should explain better, as some think I was a deadbeat dad. That's not what happened. When Abigail and I divorced, CIA was 16 and furious. Abigail fed her lies, turning her against me. Every time I tried to see CIA, Abigail made it difficult or impossible. Legally, I had joint custody, but Abigail scheduled things during my weekends and then told CIA I was being unreasonable for asking to reschedule. CIA started believing I didn't care because Abigail poisoned her against me. I tried hard to maintain a relationship during her last 2 years of high school, but she lived with Abigail full-time, who controlled everything and made me look bad. Eventually, CIA stopped wanting to see me, refusing to come to my house on my weekends. When CIA turned 18, she completely cut contact, wouldn't return calls or texts. I tried for years, but she blocked me everywhere. Abigail wouldn't give me any information about CIA. I sent birthday cards and Christmas presents for years, never knowing if she got them. It felt like sending things into a black hole. I wondered if I should just give up, since that seemed to be what she wanted. It wasn't until CIA turned 21 that she finally reached out, wanting coffee and to talk. I was ecstatic. When we met, she apologized for cutting me off, saying she'd been angry and confused, and Abigail had told her many lies. We rebuilt our relationship slowly. It was hard, with much hurt and mistrust. But I thought we were progressing, and I was so grateful to have my daughter back, even if imperfectly. So, when people say I abandoned CIA or wasn't there for her, it's unfair. I tried everything, but Abigail made it impossible. CIA believed her mother's lies and chose to cut me off. I can't be blamed for that. Anyway, since I posted, a few people who were at the wedding called. Apparently, CIA had a complete breakdown after everyone left and had to go to the hospital for hyperventilating and vomiting. Derek's mom called me to tell me, thinking I should know. I felt bad, but mostly numb. I'm so tired of feeling guilty, and of people expecting me to fix things when CIA caused this mess. Derek's mom also said CIA and Derek postponed their honeymoon indefinitely. CIA's been staying at Abigail's, refusing to talk to anyone, crying constantly, not eating. Everyone's worried. I know some think I should reach out, but I don't know what to say. I'm still so angry and hurt. I don't think she's genuinely sorry for what she did, just sorry her wedding was ruined. If I hadn't canceled, she never would have apologized for treating me so poorly. Abigail called yesterday, screaming for 10 minutes about me being a terrible father, destroying CIA's life, being cruel and vindictive, the usual. I just let her yell. I expected it, and I don't care what Abigail thinks anymore. Abigail claimed CIA never said I couldn't come, that Derek misunderstood. I know that's false. CIA and I had that huge fight. I told Abigail that if CIA wanted to fix things, she could call me and apologize for real, not just for the cancellation, but for all the cruel things she said, for treating me like just a money source. Abigail said CIA was too devastated to talk. Honestly, I don't know if CIA and I will ever have a relationship again. I'm starting to think maybe that's for the best. I'm tired of being hurt, tired of walking on eggshells, trying to earn her love when she clearly doesn't think I deserve it. Some asked if I'd do it again. Yes, absolutely. CIA needed to learn she can't treat people poorly and expect them to keep giving her money and support. Maybe this will teach her to think before saying cruel things to people who love her. Canceling was extreme, but CIA's behavior was extreme too. And I think it's okay to stand up for yourself when someone treats you badly, even your own daughter. Update 2. Well, things have gotten even more ridiculous since my last update. I don't know whether to laugh or cry. Last week, Derek showed up unannounced. I almost didn't answer, assuming he'd yell about the ruined wedding. But he looked terrible, like he hadn't slept in weeks. He said he needed to talk, that I didn't know everything. I was curious, so I let him in, made him coffee, and listened. Turns out, Derek's been digging. He found out Abigail and Jones had been pressuring CIA for months to exclude me. CIA was torn, which explains her strange behavior. Derek said Abigail constantly told CIA I abandoned her, only came back when convenient, trying to buy her love, and that for a fresh start, she should cut ties with me completely. According to Derek, Jones suggested he walk CIA down the aisle, and Abigail pushed the idea, telling CIA Jones was more of a father in her. CIA was conflicted. She wanted me there, but didn't want to upset Abigail and Jones. She was caught between them, unsure how to handle the pressure. The decision to exclude me wasn't entirely CIA's. Abigail and Jones manipulated her, wanting to hurt me, seeing the wedding as a perfect chance to permanently drive a wedge between us. Derek also said when CIA called me a checkbook and said Jones was more of a father, she was repeating things Abigail had been saying for weeks. CIA was confused, angry, and lashing out because she felt trapped by everyone's expectations. I asked Derek why he was telling me this now. He said after the wedding disaster, CIA had a complete breakdown. During it, she admitted her huge mistake, that she never wanted to exclude me, but felt pressured by her mother and stepfather. Derek said CIA's been inconsolable, constantly saying she ruined everything, lost her father forever, and wishes she'd never listened to Abigail and Jones. Wishing she'd stood up for my inclusion. Part of me felt vindicated, but mostly just tired and sad. It confirmed my suspicions. Abigail was still poisoning CIA against me, and CIA was still letting her. Derek said CIA wants to reach out, but is too ashamed, convinced I hate her. I told Derek I didn't hate CIA, but I was still very hurt and angry, unsure if we could fix our relationship. He understood, but hoped I'd give CIA another chance because she was truly sorry and loved me. Derek also told me he and CIA are having serious marital problems. CIA is so depressed and guilty, she can't function. She cries constantly, blaming herself for ruining everything. Derek doesn't know how to help her. They never went on their honeymoon and are in separate bedrooms because CIA can't be touched or comforted. She just wants to be alone with her guilt. Derek worries she might hurt herself. After Derek left, I sat for hours, processing. Did this change anything? Should I reach out? I couldn't stop thinking about CIA being depressed, possibly suicidal. Even angry, I don't want anything bad to happen to her. She's still my daughter. I still love her, despite the pain. 2 days later, Jessica called. CIA asked her to call because she was too scared. Jessica said CIA wanted me to know she was sorry, that she loved me, and knew she made a terrible mistake. CIA understood if I never wanted to see her again, but hoped I might forgive her, that she'd do anything to make things right, and she missed me. I told Jessica I appreciated the message, but if CIA truly wanted to apologize, she needed to call me herself for a real conversation about what happened, why, and what she'd do to ensure it never happened again. Jessica said she'd tell CIA and hoped she'd find the courage to call. I've been waiting. She hasn't called yet. I don't know if she will. Meanwhile, Abigail calls every few days, yelling about me destroying CIA's life, how I need to fix things, how I'm cruel and vindictive. I finally told her if she hadn't poisoned CIA against me for 8 years, none of this would have happened. She manipulated CIA into excluding me. She's just as responsible. Abigail denied manipulating CIA, saying CIA made her own choices, and I was just looking for someone to blame. But I know she's lying. Derek told me everything. I also told Abigail that if she truly cared about CIA, she'd stop interfering and let CIA and me work it out without her constant manipulation. She said she'd always protect CIA from me, calling me toxic. The whole situation is exhausting. I'm tired of the drama and manipulation, tired of Abigail using CIA as a weapon, tired of CIA letting her mother control her life. I still don't know if CIA and I will ever have a real relationship again. There's been so much damage and hurt on both sides. I don't know if we can move past it all and trust each other. But knowing CIA was manipulated does make me slightly less angry, even though CIA still chose to listen to them instead of fighting for our relationship, which is hard to get over. I don't know what's next, or if CIA will find the courage to call me for a real conversation. But I'm not holding my breath. I've spent too many years waiting for CIA to decide she wants me in her life. Final update, alright. Reddit. This is my last update. I'm honestly tired of all this drama and want to move on. Stop obsessing over CI. Sai finally called me 2 weeks ago. We had the conversation Derek and Jessica pushed for. It was awkward, painful, and I'm not sure it accomplished anything, beyond making us both cry and feel worse. CIA apologized for everything. She admitted she let Abigail and Jones manipulate her, that she should have stood up for our relationship and insisted I be part of the wedding. She knew she'd hurt me deeply and regretted her cruel words. She never truly wanted to exclude me. The whole thing spiraled because she tried to keep everyone happy, couldn't handle Abigail and Jones's pressure, and made bad decisions out of fear and confusion. I listened. I could tell she was genuinely sorry and in pain. But her apology felt too little, too late. The damage was done. I wasn't sure I could trust her not to hurt me again. I told her I appreciated the apology, but I was still very hurt and angry. It would take time to get over what she'd done. I wasn't ready to pretend everything was fine. CIA cried, begged for another chance, said she'd do anything missed me, and couldn't live with the guilt. The call lasted almost 2 hours. We said a lot, cried a lot. I felt emotionally drained, unsure if anything was resolved or if we just reopened old wounds. CIA asked if we could start over, rebuild our relationship. I told her I needed time to think, no promises on what our relationship would look like. She needed to accept things might never be the same. Since that call, CIA texts regularly, sends pictures, tries to engage me in random conversations. I can tell she's trying hard to reconnect, but it feels forced, desperate. I respond politely, but keep texts short, not initiating. I'm still unsure how I feel, and I don't want to give false hope. Derek also periodically updates me on CIA. She's seeing a therapist, taking medication for depression, and working on setting boundaries with Abigail and Jones. Progress, I guess. Derek said CIA and Abigail had a huge fight last week. CIA finally confronted her mother about manipulating her and poisoning her against me. Abigail got defensive, screamed about me being a terrible father, about CIA making a mistake trying to reconcile. According to Derek, CIA told Abigail she was tired of her controlling her relationships, that she'd make her own decisions about who she wanted in her life, and Abigail needed to stop interfering. Abigail didn't take it well. They haven't spoken since. I also found out CIA and Derek are doing better in their marriage. They're planning a small ceremony with just immediate family to actually get married, since their first wedding was a disaster. Derek asked if I'd consider coming if invited. I told him I wasn't sure. It would depend on where CIA and I stood, if I felt comfortable around Abigail and Jones, and if CIA was genuinely committed to having me in her life, or if this was just another temporary reconciliation. The truth is, I'm still really conflicted. Part of me wants a relationship with CIA. I miss and love her despite everything. But I'm scared of getting hurt again. I don't trust she won't let Abigail manipulate her again. Maybe I'm cynical, but CIA's hurt me so many times, and my hopes for our relationship have been dashed repeatedly. I'm tired of that cycle, and not sure I want to risk it again. Right now, CIA and I are in a weird limbo. We're talking, but not close. We're both careful not to upset the other. It doesn't feel natural or comfortable, and I don't know if it ever will. I've been seeing a therapist too. All this drama really messed with my head. I needed objective input. My therapist says I need to focus on my future, not what I wish had happened in the past. So, that's where things stand. CIA and I are talking, but we're not okay. I don't know if we ever will be. I'm figuring out what I want, what I'm willing to risk, and if rebuilding something so broken is worth it. Some will say I should give CIA another chance, forgive, move forward. Others will say cut my losses. Honestly, I see merit in both. I'm still deciding my path. What I do know is I'm done letting other people's drama control my life. I'm done walking on eggshells, trying to keep everyone happy. I'm done sacrificing my well-being for people who don't appreciate or respect me. Thanks for listening to all my drama, Reddit, and for the comments, support, and different perspectives. It's helped me think through everything and figure out what's important to me and what I'm willing to accept going forward.